Hey guys, Jeremy White, editor-in-chief of Pizza Today magazine. I'm here with my executive editor, Denise Greer.
Hello.
And I'm here with Audrey Kelly of Audrey Jane's Pizza Garage in Colorado.
Hey everyone, welcome to my pizzeria, Audrey Jane's Pizza Garage here in Boulder, Colorado. And today I'm going to be showing you a quick cooking demo on how to make meatball and ricotta Sicilian pie. So let's get started. First, we'll go over the ingredients, and then I'll walk you through the steps of how to make the meatballs first. So first up, we have our ground beef. I like to use an 80-20 ratio of meat to fat. This is going to be 7.5 pounds of ground beef. I do all beef mainly because we started with pork and beef, and a lot of my customers had requested a meat topping that isn't pork. And I don't know if you guys find a similar problem in your pizzerias, but most cured products are pork. We've got pepperoni, prosciutto, a lot of salami, so I kind of changed the recipe to just be all ground beef. Next up, we have breadcrumbs. It's going to be 2.5 cups of breadcrumbs. Then grated Parmesan, that's 4.5 cups of grated Parmesan. This is sea salt, 2.5 tablespoons. Crushed oregano, that's 2.5 tablespoons as well. And some minced up garlic, and that's 7 tablespoons. Last ingredient is our fresh eggs, which are just going to be 7 eggs. It's a pretty simple recipe. Basically, you have your ground beef. I like to mix all the dry ingredients together, add it in, and then add in the wet ingredients and mix it thoroughly.
Great. Audrey, what kind of yield will you get? How many meatballs are you going to get out of this recipe?
How many meatballs do we get? We get about, I would say about 200 meatballs.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, so 2 ounces, about 200 meatballs.
Awesome.
All right, so we're going to mix all of our dry ingredients in here.
Do you want something else to mix that in? Do you want something else to mix it? Okay.
And the point of mixing all the dry ingredients together is just so they're thoroughly mixed. So you want every meatball to have an equal portion of all of your spices and cheese and all that stuff.
Now, if people are looking to kind of spice it up and add something to those ingredients, what kind of ingredients do you recommend to add to your mixture?
I guess it kind of depends what you're going for. If you mean like spice it up like a hotter, like a spicier meatball, I'm a huge fan, probably people already know this, of calabrese chilies. And that would be a really easy ingredient because it's almost like a paste and it could go right in with the garlic. You could also do some cayenne or chili powder. If you want to go a little more on the sweet side, you can always add some honey or agave, maybe even like a maple syrup meatball. Never tried it, but that's actually sounding really good right now.
I'd try it. I don't know. I'd try it, definitely.
Sounds pretty good, actually. It really does.
Maybe that'll be our next cooking demo, maple meatballs.
All right, your next limited time offer.
I'd say that's more of like a pork, though. Don't you guys think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say like a pork maple meatballs. I'm going to try that out, actually. Love that idea. All right, so our dry ingredients are thoroughly mixed. And I'm going to add in the garlic to the ground beef. And I'm going to crack all of my eggs into there.
This is the real test of a chef right there, being able to get the eggs in there with none of the shells.
I don't know, I might have just got one, guys. But yes, indeed.
Audrey, how do you use these meatballs on your menu? Obviously, you're going to make a pizza momentarily, but I'm assuming you also use them in other ways?
Yeah, so we tend to keep our menu pretty small because we're a small kitchen, and I like to cross-use most of my ingredients. So one of our biggest sellers is actually, we call our meatball grinder, which is just basically a meatball sandwich. And it's 5 meatballs on a homemade sub roll and some garlic oil, mozzarella, and Parmesan. We also do just a side of meatballs, and of course, we actually, for the pizza, we only do the leftover meatballs that we have from the day before.
Okay.
So that way we don't waste them. And I think that's actually easier because they're cold and easier to cut. They don't just like crumble on.
Mm-hmm.
And aren't the flavors intensified too when they're on that second day?
I think so, yeah. We let them stew, like we keep them hot all day. And yeah, it's definitely cooking them as they go. So we cook them for about, well, I'll tell you in a minute, but we cook them about 24 minutes. And they're still just slightly pink inside because we don't want to overcook them as they're on that heat all day long. So this, now we have the garlic and eggs in here. I'm going to give it just a quick mix to incorporate it before we add our dry ingredients. Massage it in a little bit.
So the real MVP here is clearly Colin, who is doing some great camera work for us behind the scenes. So shout out, good job.
Thank you. All
right. No, it doesn't have to be all the way mixed. We're going to keep mixing once the dry ingredients go in. And this recipe is actually from my mom, who got it from my grandma. And was one of my favorite things growing up.
Nice. Now, was grandma in the restaurant industry, or was she just into feeding her family on Sundays?
She was a mother of 6 and just fed her family. So this was one of the staples in their house.
Nice.
And she was actually, she wasn't Italian, but she was married. My grandpa was Sicilian. So I think she tried to make things that he liked.
How did the meatballs sell?
We're just going to mix this until it's all incorporated. What was the question?
Oh, I'm sorry. How does the product sell? Are the meatballs good movers? Do you tend to go through these pretty quickly?
We do, yeah. We don't ever reuse them the next day. That's why it's nice to have the option to use them as a pizza topping. But a lot of times we don't even have them for that. We kind of just sell out. Ideally, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting too. We were on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, and this was one of the things on it. And every time the show re-airs, like, it's a significant difference in how many meatballs we sell.
I bet.
We have to like triple the amount, which is always fun because they don't tell us when it airs, and then it's kind of like.
And then it just hits.
Yeah, just flying by the seat of our pants.
So Audrey, with everything we're facing in the pizza industry right now, with the COVID-19 virus and the closures and the carry out and delivery restrictions and everything that's going on, how are you dealing with that right now?
Well, as everyone I'm sure is in the same position, it's been very stressful. The most stressful part, I think, has been the not knowing, because we didn't know if they were just going to shut us down, so we don't want to order a ton of product, and then the next day we're stuck with like 20 cases of cheese. How we're dealing with it, we've changed our operation. We're really lucky because we're mainly to go anyway. We've got like a 1,200 square foot restaurant. We also have the foresight to put in garage doors, which comes in very handy now because we've closed the restaurant off and we're just serving people through the garage doors. So it really limits the amount of contamination that can occur, and it's safer for my employees. It's safer for, I think, everyone. Just makes me feel more at ease. We've definitely noticed a significant drop in our lunch business because it's almost exclusively workers, and no one's working anymore. They're all working from home. So during the day, it's just me and one of my main guys. At night, it's pretty similar to our normal evenings in terms of sales. Good.
Now, I saw on Instagram that you are doing pizza kits.
Yes, we are. We're doing pizza kits.
Yeah, how's that going?
Which it's actually gone really well. I had the idea right when it hit, and then I just was like, I got just way too busy and caught up in the day-to-day, and so finally we launched it this week. It's something that I've seen people like across the nation doing, and it seems to be one of the most popular things. I'm part of the World Pizza Champions, and somebody actually commented that might be something that's like saving her business. The pizza kits.
Wow. What exactly is inside the kit? It's a pizza box, correct?
Yeah, it's packaged in a pizza box, and it's 2 dough balls, enough sauce for the 2 dough balls, cheese, and if they want pepperoni, and instructions and some flour of how to do it. And we're encouraging people to tag us in their posts so we can see how their home pizzas are coming out. And yeah, I think it's a really great concept just because the whole idea is that you bring the pizza home and it should cook off any bacteria or germs that incurs, that it might have come into contact with. And it's also fun for the whole family because if you think about it, there's all these people stuck at home with their families, their kids, and I'm here, so I don't really know, but I can imagine it'd be a really long day.
How are they turning out? I can imagine you see some pictures on Instagram, and some of them are probably really beautiful, and you're like, "Wow, good job!" And then some of them are probably like, "Oh my, that is not my pizza. No way."
That's what I'm actually really impressed with everyone. I sent a few people home with the pizzas because, in all honesty, I've never cooked the dough at my house. So I sent my husband home. I was like, "Can you tell me how long we need to cook this for?" Because it's way different in the home oven than in our oven here, obviously. We cook our pizzas at 625 and the home oven only goes up to 500. Mm-hmm. Also, we wrote the instructions so that people don't need a pizza stone, just assuming that the majority of people don't have one.
Right.
But it's fun. I've seen different shapes. I've seen a lot of different toppings that people are adding to it. Everyone's kind of putting their own twist on it. And it's a bright spot in an otherwise dreary time, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, so our meatballs are looking good. Oh, sorry, keep going.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was just going to get ready to ball up the meatballs.
Oh, good.
Awesome.
I'm going to get some new gloves on. Hang on.
I don't know about you, Jeremy, but meatballs might be one of my favorite things.
Yes, I agree 100%. I very rarely order them on a pizza, but I definitely love them on a small plate appetizer or on a sandwich.
Yeah, when you guys asked me to do this, I was debating what to make, and I thought I could make a pesto pizza and try to make the pesto or different other options. And then it's a little bit cold, and I feel like when people are going through a crisis, they want something really comforting. And to me, that's something like meatballs.
I agree.
So what's better than a meatball Sicilian? Not many things.
I'm excited. The downfall is that I can't taste it. This is not good for me to watch and not get to eat it.
Yeah, we need the smell-o-vision. We need smell-o-vision really bad right now.
I was thinking that actually. I was like, I wish everyone could smell over these. They haven't invented that yet. There's not an app for it.
If you guys see me lick my screen, think nothing of it. I'm just gonna pretend like I can taste the meatballs. All right.
That sounds great. So basically, I just tack the meat in like that, and it's.
Now, I've always heard you don't want to mash them up too much. Is that kind of your gist of it? You don't want to smash them up too much as you're rolling?
Yeah, I feel like for different applications, you do them differently. Yes, if you're having pasta with meatballs and you're going through a few, absolutely, because you want it to be very tender and kind of melts in your mouth. But since we use ours on the sandwich and they're in a pot together, I definitely tack them a little bit tighter, just because I don't want them falling apart. And people, they want that distinguished 5 meatballs per order, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yes, I hear what you're saying about you don't want them too tight because you do want that tender texture. Which is also where the pork comes in. I think that kind of tenderizes the meatballs a little bit more. But since we're doing an all beef meatball, it's going to be a little bit different flavor and texture for sure.
Now, as far as with this this current situation, are there any other kind of policies and things that you've had to put into place just on the fly?
Yes.
I'm
sure every state is a little bit different, but Colorado, there's the whole 6 feet social distancing, which people still aren't really grasping here, even though we have multiple signs. We even set up stations 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for people to stand at. Still not quite grasping it. We have a sanitizing bucket and wipes by our register, so we're wiping that down every time anyone uses a transaction. We're encouraging even more people to order online. So through our website, you can place your order and pay, which is really convenient because then all we have to do is pass you the pizza. Again, not everyone is still doing that, but we're we're hoping that it'll shift. We're still offering cash transactions because it's America. People have cash. I don't think that's ever gonna. I mean, I don't think it should ever go away because not everyone can have a credit card. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like we have a big homeless population here. I don't know. I just think it's something that we should offer.
Sure. Makes sense. Are you having any difficulty getting product? Any of your suppliers?
So far, right knock on wood, no. But we use a lot of. I mean, we don't really import that many products except for like our prosciutto and Parmesan and that kind of stuff. So everything's fairly local that we use, from the ground beef to a lot of the veggies and that kind of stuff. The cheese, I've heard there might be a shortage, but I checked with my rep and we haven't had one yet. We actually ran out of cheese yesterday. I had to go borrow some from another pizzeria. But that was due to us not ordering enough because we weren't quite sure, how busy it was going to be with the new restrictions. Colorado's on lockdown now, so we didn't know if people would just be staying in. And also just, we didn't know if we were even going to be allowed to be open. So, but we are, and it's been steady, so we're very thankful for that.
Good.
So I'm just kind of lightly rolling these just to cement the form of them. And then we're going to pop them in the oven. So again, these are meatballs that we are making specifically for like a sandwich that we make a good number of, so we don't want them to fall apart, and also for like a meatball or a pizza topping.
Okay.
I cover the meatballs like this to cook them. I find that it steams them, and it doesn't like, I don't know if you notice when you cook meatballs, like a lot of the fat seeps out. Mm-hmm. So I've tried it a few different ways, and by covering them, it kind of like, it contains the fat a little bit more and makes them a much juicier meatball.
Nice.
That's a good trick. I like that trick.
All right, so these are going to go in. We only have one oven here at the Pizza Garage, which is our brand new Pizza Master. Amazing. So we don't have like a cooktop or anything like that. So anything that we cook is done in the pizza oven. So it's going to go in here. Luckily, you can set the different decks to different temperatures. So this one right now is at 400, and we're going to cook it for 24 minutes.
Okay.
While that's cooking, I'm going to show you guys how to push out a Sicilian and get that going in the oven, and then we'll top the pizza.
Awesome.
And I'll be able to eat it. You guys can eat it.
I'm jealous.
I am so jealous.
All right, we're just rearranging.
So Audrey's actually, we can tease a little bit of the April issue that we have. That's just come out, where she actually covers what's the difference between Sicilian and Grandma. So it's a really neat article. I definitely recommend taking a look at it. And now you'll get to see it firsthand how she does the Sicilian.
Yeah, and actually I have a video coming up of that, so I was debating whether or not to do it again, but it's hard to resist a Sicilian, especially on a cold day in Colorado.
Right.
So we have our Sicilian pans. Different brands are a little bit different, but we've had these for about 4 years, so they're nice and seasoned and worn in. And this is just extra virgin olive oil. And I just rub it in with my hand. You don't want a ton because you don't want it like bubbling up over the pan. But make sure it gets into all the corners. And then we have our dough ball. It's a little bit bigger than all of our other ones. This is 2.25 pounds. Lay it in. A little bit more extra virgin olive oil on top. And I like to rub the olive oil into the top and then flip it over. And then you really want to press from the middle out to the corners because you want your whole Sicilian to be very even on top. And this first push is basically just to get all your air bubbles out. So it doesn't have to be perfect. You're kind of forming the shape of the pan, or the dough to the shape of your pan. So once you push it out, I flip it back over because you always want the top of the dough ball on the top and the bottom on the bottom of the pan. So this is the bottom of your dough ball, this is the top.
Now, is that at room temperature, or how long has that been out of the cooler at this point?
The dough ball, this has been out for about an hour.
Okay.
You could leave it out a little bit longer and it'll be easier to press, but I push out my Sicilians a little bit different, I think, than some people. So I'll do the first push and then we'll let it sit, do the second push, and we actually rise ours for about 10 hours.
Oh, okay.
So I know a lot of people don't have that much time, or they do it a different process. So maybe they'll let it come to room temperature, press it out. The first press, let it sit till it's like a little bit warmer, and then press it out and let it rise for like an hour or two. But I actually consulted Chris Decker, and he is the Sicilian master. And he let me in on a few good secrets. And I think the biggest one was just that really long rise, which is a bread technique, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a huge difference in our Sicilians.
Nice.
Keep all those pretty air bubbles and that lightness of the Sicilian. Okay, so that looks pretty good for our first press. We're going to let it sit on top of the oven. And then in about an hour, we would, half an hour to an hour, depending on how warm it is in the shop, we'd push it out again.
Okay.
Since we don't have that amount of time, I might press it out a little bit sooner. But I have a Sicilian that we've frozen for a few hours, so.
Perfect.
So this has been out an hour. We're going to really push this into our corners. We want it to stay into the corners. Because after this push, you don't want to mess with your Sicilian. You don't want to, after we let it rise that extra like 10 hours, there's going to be so much air in it that if you mess with it, it's going to totally deflate. And ruin all of that hard work you just did. Okay. So we're pushing this into the corners. Again, you really want to push from the middle because you don't want the middle to be super, super flat and the edges puffy. Otherwise, it's going to be like soup in the middle of your Sicilian.
Yeah.
I have to unwrap it.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
So
Okay.
to clarify, you cover that and sit it on top of
Yes.
the oven for 8.
So I cover it in plastic. I should have said that. I cover it in plastic and then let it sit out at room temperature.
Okay.
Because that's just, it's allowing it to rise even more. But right after you unwrap it, you want to get it in the oven, otherwise it will deflate.
Okay.
So we're going to throw this right into the oven. The oven, we cook the Sicilians, so we par bake our Sicilian. I'm really not doing a very good job right now. So we unwrap it, and we're going to par bake the Sicilian at 575 for about 8 minutes. You just want it to be golden brown and very even color throughout. And then we pull them out, and we do about 10 Sicilians a day, and once we're out, we're just out.
Sure.
Now, why do you par bake? What's the reason for the par bake?
So a Sicilian to me should be really light and fluffy, but you want it to hold up to the toppings. So par bake allows it to develop the structure and really get crunchy on the bottom while keeping it really fluffy in the middle. And also, the Sicilian is so much thicker and airier that it takes longer to bake. So if we were to just put our toppings on, the middle wouldn't be baked through by the time the toppings are. Okay. So it's been about 8 minutes. And there we have our Sicilian.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yes, it looks so
you
good.
can see it pops up a little bit more. The corners, well, they could be a little more into the corners, but they all shrink up. And yeah, it's just an even texture and color throughout. And that's what I look for in my Sicilians.
Looks great.
Okay, so our meatballs should be ready now. Well, maybe I should let them cook a little bit longer. Okay, we're going to set these aside. And I was going to make an original tomato pie, which is cheese on the bottom, sauce on top, the meatballs, and then ricotta.
All right.
Do you guys want me to show you my ricotta mixture? It's just like ricotta and heavy cream.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know how much time we had. Okay, so we're going to let our meatballs cool because it's hard to cut them when they're hot, obviously. We're going to make our ricotta mixture and then put our pie together.
Awesome.
So we use 1 full container, which is 5 pounds of ricotta. Or ricotta, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Okay. And I know a lot of people who add other things to their ricotta to make it a little creamier, maybe some mascarpone or other different mixtures. But I keep it pretty simple with just the ricotta and 2 cups of heavy cream.
Okay.
And this is basically just to make it a little bit creamier, and when it cooks, it kind of solidifies with the other ingredients better. A lot of people also make their ricotta in-house, which we have yet to do, but we probably should.
How many different menu items do you use this ricotta mixture?
We use it on a lot. We have it on, what is it? We have it on like 3 different pies. So I guess that's not that many, but people add it to a lot of pies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see how many we have.
What's your application method?
What, Denise?
What's your application method for the ricotta? How do you like to top ricotta on pie?
That's a very good question. I am a huge fan of just spooning it on. I know a lot of people who pipe it, but it looks too pretty for me. Like, it doesn't look real or something.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. It's just not, it's not my look. We have a little more rustic pies. Our pies are not always round. It's just how I like to do it. How do you guys like it?
I like
How do you apply it? You like the piping bag?
No, I like to do it by hand and make it look perfectly imperfect.
Yes, that's a great way of putting it.
Yeah, spoon it on, definitely.
Yeah. It just seems a little more real to me. But, you know, everyone has their own ways. That's what makes it so great.
All right, looks like it's ready to go.
Okay. Which side do you want to do this? Over here. So we're going to make an original tomato pie, which is sliced whole milk mozzarella on the bottom and sauce on top with some garlic oil. And I love this pizza because I'm a sauce girl. I love to taste the flavor of the tomatoes, and I feel like that's one of the main qualities of an original tomato pie, or some people call it an upside-down pie, is that you taste the sauce first.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of my customers get confused because they've never had an original tomato pie, and they think there's no cheese on it at all. But there is. It's underneath, guys. So it's also a great way of keeping your portions, because you know exactly how many slices you're using, so you know exactly how much cheese.
Do you use the slices on all of your pies or just on your Sicilian?
Just actually on the original tomato pie. So you can get the original tomato pie in a round pie as well.
Okay.
It's just kind of the style of the pizza, but we use shredded or the diced spots for everything else.
Okay.
And why
it's a lot more labor to slice it too.
Oh, I'm sure.
What was that, Denise?
I said, why is the sliced the way to go on this particular pie?
You mean for the Sicilian? And
yes, yeah. Because
I think it's so that like the sauce doesn't really seep into the Sicilian and make it soggy. It kind of seals that. And you're also, like I was saying, is you're really tasting that sauce.
Now, what is your philosophy on sauces? Do you like yours a little more rustic, or do you like it a little more enhanced? What's your theory on
our sauce is a little heavier, I think, than some pizza places. So we do a higher ratio of super dolce tomato sauce, which is almost like a tomato paste, and like the crushed tomatoes, or like crushed plum tomatoes. So we keep ours really simple. We don't add any garlic to it or anything like that, or onion, and we never cook our sauce. Obviously, it cooks in the oven, but we don't like pre-cook it. So it's almost a little bit sweeter, I want to say, but there's no added sugar. It's just the sweetness of the tomatoes themselves. So we have our cheese down, and I like to scrape it when it's a slice pie, but we also just, you can spread it, you can do like a full spread of tomato sauce, or you can kind of stripe it, which allows you to taste the different flavors individually a little bit more.
The racing stripes look so pretty.
That too. I think that's why I started doing it, really. It was just because it was so pretty. Okay. Now we're ready for our meatballs, and let me just grab a knife. Okay. So there we have our meatballs. Normally they're in sauce, so they look a little different, but you can see a lot of the fat already came out of it. And I just cut them like this and add them onto the pie.
How many meatballs will you use on this particular pizza?
That is a great question. I like a lot of meatballs.
Yeah.
So probably our meatballs are also a lot smaller, so probably like 15, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah. I want it to be covered. Like I want a meatball in every bite.
Sure. Makes sense.
And so usually yours a little more sliced than just cutting them in half, correct?
I do, yeah. I think if they're cut in half, it's a little too much for my taste, at least. Like I like to get all the flavors and not just the meatball, because I like how the meatballs really work with the sauce.
Hey guys.
So when you guys grab the door, hopefully I think we have a delivery. You don't want to cut them too thin because you don't want them drying out in the oven either.
Good tip.
And you can see they're still a little bit pink in the middle. I don't know how many meatballs this was. I'm not the best at portioning unless I absolutely have to.
Yeah.
If I'm totally honest, which we portion all like our items here, but when I cook myself, I kind of just throw things together.
Sure.
I think that was one of the biggest challenges of having my own restaurant, is that I was forced to come up with my like specific recipes for things. Like all my dressings, when I was just making them at home, I would just kind of throw things in a blender. But now, people want consistency, so I've gotten better at that. Okay, let me grab a spoon and we'll dollop our ricotta on.
We need to try to make one of these in our test kitchen.
Yeah, I think we will hit the Pizza Today test kitchen as soon as we can return to the office, and we will attempt. I'm sure that it will look inferior to this one, but we'll do our best.
Oh, I'm sure it looks beautiful.
She can come out and visit.
That would be fantastic, actually.
When all of this is said and done.
Yeah,
that would be great.
Wanting to take a trip to Kentucky.
Yeah, we would love to have you in our test kitchen.
What was that?
I said we would love to have you in our test kitchen.
I would love to come visit. One of my best friends just got a job at the University of Kentucky, and they just moved out there.
Nice.
So they're in, where are they in?
Lexington.
Lexington, that's it.
So about how much are you putting as far as the ricotta on there? Like how much?
Yeah, good question. This is probably about 2 ounces per slice. So I like 1 big dollop per slice.
In the side profile here.
Yeah.
It's almost time to lick the screen. This looks amazing.
Thank you, guys. So when this comes out, I made this if this were to be a slice pie that we sell individual slices of, we would cut this into 6 slices. If it's a to-go pizza, we do 8.
Okay.
So I did 8 dollops of ricotta, just assuming like someone was taking this home, I guess.
Okay.
And then the last ingredient before it goes in the oven is some garlic oil, which we go through a lot of here. And this is just a mixture of minced up garlic and extra virgin olive oil.
Okay.
And I just kind of drizzle it on.
Now there's your smell-o-vision again, the garlic oil.
Yes.
Oh,
Lots of garlic here. And this is going to go in the oven. I turn the oven down a little bit. It's going to be I cook all my Sicilians at 550, and that's just so that it cooks through. Like, you want all the toppings to be thoroughly cooked. And because it's such a thicker crust and it's not directly on the stone, it takes a little bit longer.
Okay.
Here, maybe I'll put it on this side because our lights burned out. So are you guys still working in the office, or are you working from home now?
We are all working from home. Our
Okay.
office is closed for at least another 2 to 3 weeks, and we are all working out of home offices on the laptops and making do, but we're getting it done just like you.
Now, as a pizzeria operator, how are you coping with these new situations? Not being able to plan ahead, things like that. How are you coping with the stress, and what are you doing for that?
Yeah, we've definitely been taking it day by day. Every hour, I feel like my emotions toward it changes. Like, I'll be like, oh, this is totally fine, and then it hits me, and I'm like, have a little panic attack. But I think now that Colorado has announced a full lockdown, and we know exactly what that means, or they have like a stay at home, and we know we can stay open, that's been a huge, huge relief, just knowing that we should be ordering food. I think people are starting to get in the rhythm of it, so we're starting to figure out like how many people we still need on staff. That was a huge obstacle last week, just because the lunch business kind of diminished. So at first I didn't cut people, but then we did, and kind of moved people to the nighttime crew. And just like how much, and I think a big obstacle too is that if anyone shows any symptoms of any sort of illness, like they can't be in the restaurant for 2 weeks.
Right.
So we had a few people out last week that probably didn't have coronavirus. They had like a head cold, but like they haven't been able to work for 2 weeks just for safety precautions. And we have a really small team, so it's a big hit to our team.
Is your county health
And it's also
department
just
in
figuring
contact?
out like how to take care of your employees as well, because unemployment is, I'm sure you guys know like how many people are trying to file for unemployment.
Yeah, it's massive. Is your county health department or your state in regular contact with you? What kind of information do you receive? Do you get any guidance as to how long this may last in your area, or are you just sitting in the dark like most people?
They try and update us. Like right now, I think it's mandatory lockdown until April 11th, but that will most likely change. I'm sure they'll extend it. The restaurant association, they email us directly with updates, but a lot of it is kind of seeking out information yourself. I think because I am a restaurant owner, I seek out like exactly what we're supposed to be doing a little more. So maybe I get frustrated with customers because I'm like, why don't you guys know to line up 6 feet apart?
Right.
But maybe they're just not as absorbed in that kind of information.
Sure.
And I think I think the pizzeria industry in general is faring a lot better than most restaurants.
Why do you say the pizzeria industry is faring a little better? Why do you think it's doing well?
I think the model from the start has been takeout. Obviously, there's a lot of people that have sit-down pizzerias. I think it's a lot of independent pizzerias too that are hopefully. We've seen it at least so much generosity from our customers and our community. Just people reaching out, like making sure we're doing okay, and like going out of their way to support us and keep us in business. Like I've had so many people comment, like we're making sure we come to you at least once a week. Or we had one guy call in and order $200 worth of pizza to donate to the local hospital. And I think it's mostly that we're set up to do to-goes, whereas a lot of these high-end restaurants aren't, and like their food doesn't travel as well. Whereas pizza, it goes in a box. Even wood-fired, I know it's not ideal, but like you can still make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you something, and I'm trying to remember. What do you think? As a business owner, what are you going to walk away from this situation with? What are some of those learning opportunities that you're taking away from this?
I think the biggest one is, do I want to fight for it? because every day it's a struggle for me, at least. Like, I'm exhausted, honestly. Like, just mentally and physically, and having to cut staff makes, me work more, which is fine. I don't mind doing it. It's just like, how much do I want this? You know what I mean? Like, does it mean enough to me to want to fight for it? And so far the answer is yes. If it continues for 3 more months, we don't know. But I think the biggest learning lesson is, like, what is your priority right now? Like, how bad do you want something? How bad do you want it to succeed? And finding creative avenues to allow it to succeed. I'm just going to check on that pie really quick.
I'm really jealous that I'm not there right now.
I know.
The Sicilian travels pretty well, so we could just send it to Amazon, and then Jeff Bezos will get it right to you.
Nice.
I'm ready. Bring it.
I'll even say that they cook exactly the same at every point, but that's just not true. So that's it. It's almost there. It needs a little bit longer. You can see this is still a little bit white.
It's coming along nicely.
All right.
So did you?
What
say
other seminars do we have to look forward to on the web this week?
I know. Did you say you do about 10 of these per day?
Sicilians, yeah, we limit the number of Sicilians.
Okay.
Mainly because we were doing more when we first opened, and we're not on the East Coast. Most people don't know what a Sicilian is.
Mm-hmm.
That's my short answer to that.
I think it's deep dish.
They think, yes, a lot of people call it deep dish, which drives me crazy. Not because I don't like deep dish, because it's a totally different style of deep dish.
Right.
So, but then again, we have a few regulars who only want the Sicilian.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how many?
And then we use, if we don't sell them, we use the leftover ones for croutons the next day, or we sell them as naked Sicilians. And I was making breadcrumbs for the meatballs, but then it almost broke my Cuisinart, so I stopped doing that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
You got to be good to your equipment.
Yes. Some things are very expensive. You have to pick your battles on what you want to do in-house, right?
Right. Absolutely.
It's probably right.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I'm forgetting about the pizza now.
Sorry.
Hey. I think a few more minutes. Let me grab. You can see you really want, a main part of the Sicilian is you want that crispy bottom too, which it's looking good, the bottom. But we're going to give it a few more minutes and then we'll pull it out. I'm going to grab some basil on top of it. So.
Now, what's your carry-out procedures right now while you're
on
this crisis?
So this garage window will open and we have our POS system that goes here. And we basically slide everything through, so the customers line up outside of here. So we're actually really lucky because people don't have to come inside to pick up their food. And if people request curbside pickup, we do run it out to them. We ask that people call ahead of time to make sure their pizza's ready, so we don't have a huge cluster of customers picking up at the same time. But it's been a change for sure. Just figuring out, how to keep everyone safe, how to handle it really, to make the customers feel like we're handling the food safe. Colin's very worried about this pizza. We're gonna take it out.
Colin must be hungry.
Because I'm gonna eat that. Don't burn it.
That's what I'm thinking.
All right, that's looking good.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful.
You can see Ricotta's got a little bit of char in there. Let's check the bottom.
Let's hear the crunch.
Hey, I'm gonna go on this way.
Denise, do you think we can pull this off in the test kitchen?
I think you definitely can.
I think we can do it.
Yeah, one of the biggest challenges of our dough is that we use a sourdough, and it really, the temperature really affects how it rises.
Mm-hmm.
So, our New York style, we can control a little bit by pulling it out of the walk-in. But the Sicilian, if the winter, we figured out normally we would pull the Sicilians out to rise at like 9 p.m. the night before, but now we're doing it at like noon the day before.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, it's kind of figuring out how to work with your dough. So in the summer, like the Sicilians are almost like twice the size sometimes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which, you know, affects our consistency, but I think it's worth it just because the flavor is so good of it. Okay, so I topped this with a little bit of grated Parmesan, the original tomato pies, and some Sicilian oregano, which I think you guys already got a close-up of, and our little Peggy. And yeah, I can do a little bit of basil. There you have it. Our meatball Sicilian.
That is beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You killed it.
I'm stoked to check out all the other webinars.
Yeah, we're going to get them all up soon. We're really excited about it. Thank you for your hospitality here. That is beautiful. I'm just very jealous that I'm not there to taste it myself.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're definitely going to do this in our test kitchen. It's going to be great.
I can't wait to hear how it comes out. And I'm trying the maple meatballs next.
Well, let us know how that turns out.
Yeah, maybe that'll be the next recipe.
I think that was your idea, but we validated it, so it's kind of our idea too, I guess.
Definitely, yes. You guys are welcome to use it as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, but what are you going to pair it with? That's what I'm curious.
You're the expert, not me.
Oh, okay. I thought we were going to have like a maple meatball off or something.
You tell us. We're in Kentucky. We'll just eat it and drink bourbon with it. We'll be good.
Hey, that sounds pretty good.
All right.
Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.